working on their A diminished scale, and I'll say, hey, why don't you write something out this week? Just take those notes and see what you come up with, you know. And a lot of times doing that, you can a teacher can kind of see where a student's at, where his melodic development's at, where his sense of lines is at, where his, you know, what he comes up with. If he comes up with lines that make really no sense, it's just random notes, it kind of is a hint that, okay, you know, does that sound good to you? Well, no, I just put random notes out there. Okay, you got to work on these and try to find stuff that sounds good to you and kind of like melodic with the stuff you're working on. And I've had students do that and they learn lessons through that and go, you know, next week they come back with more melodic lines that sound pretty hip and cool, and I'm like, okay, you got it now. You know what you're doing now, and you apply that to other concepts, and to me, it's a very worthwhile thing to do. It's also to write out solos over tunes, and I've talked about this in other lessons. You know, whatever tune you're working on, write out a solo on it and see how you do, how you connect the lines. And I always tell students, you know, if you can't write out a pretty good sounding solo with lines that connect and flow and get from chord tone to chord tone, how do you ever hope to improvise and play a really good solo? Like, when you're writing it out, you have all the time in the world to connect the lines and think about it, and, you know, it's kind of like improvising in slow motion. So, you know, I'll have students say, I can't do that. I'm like, well, that's just improvising kind of in slow motion, like you're really slow motion, you know. But to me, that's a huge thing. Like, you learn so much from doing that. That's the end of my rant. Okay, now we're on the fourth line. Okay. I probably never played that line before in my life. That's a great example of a line you come up with when you're writing. Pretty outside, pretty cool. So now if I play it faster. Okay. So you hear the shape. I start with a 8-note shape, and then I repeat the shape. And the diminished scale is great for those shapes. So now if I do it with the play along. I think that sounds cool.